Okay, let's dive into this because if you've ever had that check engine light pop on, you know that little jolt of anxiety. Today, we're going to demystify one of the codes you might see, P2270. We'll figure out what it really means and what you can do about it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're just driving along, listening to music, minding your own business, and then boom, that little orange engine icon lights up your dashboard. It's that universal moment of, oh great, what now? So you grab your code reader, you plug it in, and it spits out this cryptic message, P2270. It sounds like some kind of complex computer jargon, right? But don't worry, think of us as your personal translator. We're going to take that code and turn it into simple, plain English you can actually use.
So what is your car really trying to tell you with this P2270 code? To get the full picture, we've got to break it down piece by piece.
First up, bank 1. This is just car speak for which side of the engine we're looking at. If you have a V6 or a V8 engine, bank 1 is the side that has the number 1 cylinder. And hey, if you've got a 4-cylinder, it's even easier. You've only got one bank, so you already know where to look.
Next up is sensor 2. Now this is super important. Your car has a couple of oxygen sensors. Sensor 1 is upstream, before the catalytic converter. But our guy, sensor 2, is downstream. It's located after the catalytic converter, and its whole job is to be like a quality control inspector, making sure the converter is doing its job, cleaning up the exhaust.
And finally, we get to the heart of the matter, stuck lean. This means our quality inspector, sensor 2, is screaming to the car's computer that it's seeing way too much oxygen in the exhaust. The signal it sends gets stuck at a really low voltage, which is the sensor's way of setting off the alarm bells. So let's look at what the car's computer sees. A healthy sensor signal is pretty stable, bouncing around at a higher voltage. But that stuck lean signal, it's a total flatline. It's stuck way down there, near 0.1 volts, and it just isn't budging. That's the electronic evidence of our P2270 code right there. Okay, so now we've cracked the code. We know what the car thinks is wrong, but what's the real cause? Well, it's time to play detective and line up the usual suspects. Now, the official list of potential causes looks kind of long. It could be a bad O2 sensor, maybe some damaged wiring, an engine vacuum leak, even a contaminated sensor or a clogged catalytic converter. It seems like it could be anything, right? But don't let that long list scare you, because when it comes to the P2270 code, one of these suspects is guilty way more often than all the others combined. In fact, it's the number one thing any experienced mechanic is going to check first every single time. And there you have it, exhaust leaks. They are, by far, a very common cause for this specific code. And we're not just talking about any old leak. The location has to be perfect, somewhere after the catalytic converter, but before that sensor too. So why does that specific spot matter so much? Well, think of your exhaust pipe like a straw you're drinking from. If you poke a tiny hole in that straw, you're not just going to suck up your drink, you're going to suck in outside air too. An exhaust leak does the exact same thing. It pulls fresh, oxygen-rich air into the pipe, which then flows right over sensor 2. The sensor sees all that extra oxygen and, naturally, freaks out and reports a lean condition. All right, now that we know our prime suspect is an exhaust leak, let's get practical. Let's walk through a simple, step-by-step checklist you can use to hunt down the real problem. First things first, always check for other codes. Sometimes P2270 is just a side effect of a bigger issue. If it's the only code, jump straight to step 2. Get your eyes and ears on that exhaust system. Look for any cracks, listen for any hissing sounds after the catalytic converter. This is your most likely win. If you don't find anything there, then you can move on to checking the sensor itself, its wiring, and looking at the live data on a scan tool. Okay, so you've gone through the checklist, you've done your detective work, and you found the culprit. Fantastic. So, what's the next move? Let's talk about the fix. Luckily, the fix is usually pretty straightforward. If you found that exhaust leak, you just have to repair or replace that section of the exhaust. If your diagnostics pointed to a bad sensor or some chewed-up wires, well, you replace the bank 1 sensor 2 and fix the wiring. And in the rare case you found a different engine problem, you simply tackle that root cause first. Now listen up, because this part is absolutely critical. You cannot skip this. After you've made the repair, you have to use your scan tool to clear the code from the car's memory. Then, you've got to take it for a real test drive to make 100% sure that light stays off and the problem is gone for good. So, let's just boil this all down to the essentials. P2270 simply means your downstream oxygen sensor is stuck saying the exhaust is too lean.
The number one cause, and I mean by a long shot, is an exhaust leak hiding out between the catalytic converter and that sensor. And the best way to find it is to follow a logical plan. Start with the most likely culprit first.
So that really just leaves us with one final thought. The next time that little orange light shows up on your dash, you've got a choice. You can see it as this big, scary, expensive problem, or you can see it for what it is, a puzzle that you now know how to solve.